Hello, everyone, and welcome to our episode of the Jardas Topics podcast. I lost count of how many of these episodes I've done already. I just know the last episode that I did was on the Mission Impossible movie. Wait, was it? No, it was Barbie. I think it was Barbie in the Oppenheimer movie. I'm confusing it because I did the Final Fantasy 16 review, I think, with the Mission Impossible movie. Hopefully I'm not tripping, or did that separately. I have no idea. I did a couple of episodes over there in my summer break, but anyway, this one's going to be a bit different because I'm not in my usual setup. I'm over here in Florida for college reasons, obviously, and again, honestly, this thing it's just kind of bizarre to me because I'm just so used to like my old setup where I have Sony Vegas open. And it's just more straightforward through there. But now I have CapCut open, and I'm just recording the quote-unquote videos that I can record and make through here. I did make the Bad Bunny review through here, and it did actually pan out pretty smoothly, surprisingly, even though there could have been some more editing things going on in the mix, like the type of things I would do with Sony Vegas. But unfortunately, I couldn't get Sony Vegas over here or transfer the file there. Yeah, I know, it's a bummer. Hopefully I can get it. Hopefully I can transfer it when I come back to Puerto Rico. But yeah, anyway, going back to this episode today, I'm going to gladly review the new Spider-Man 2 game. The new Spider-Man 2 game from Insomniac, the ones who brought you Marvel Spider-Man for the PS4. But yeah, it's been 5 years since we got I guess like a full Spider-Man title. Like, I know people are going to be saying, hey, Miles Morales came out in 2020. Yes, that is true, but it's almost like a DLC spin-off game in a way. I mean, it is canon to the story. It really is, especially since Marvel Spider-Man 2 it does include Miles, and there is sort of like a follow-up to those events in a way. And it does sort of like reference some particular events in the game, I guess. But that game, Miles Morales, was a very short DLC type game that you could easily finish and beat in a day. I'm not saying, I know the Spider-Man games are notoriously pretty short, but they're insanely fun. But the Miles Morales games is incredibly short, honestly. And I remember playing it like twice and beating it in a hard difficulty, like 6 hours or something. It was very short. But anyway, going back to the main topic at hand. 5 years ago, when Spider-Man 1 came out, the first Spider-Man game came out, it was amazing. It still is amazing. I did play the remastered version for the PS5, which improves the technical stuff going on with Marvel Spider-Man PS4. And it just makes it much better, honestly. It's still an incredible game to this day. And I remember making a full, I don't know if it was 12 or 15 minute review analyzing the entire game, because I was just mind blown by it, and I just loved doing the full length type reviews back then. I wanted to bring it back for this game, but editing at CapCut with like the things going on, I mean, the editing style that I have isn't really CapCut friendly. It isn't like insane editing styles that I typically go for, but I'm just not comfortable with doing it in CapCut yet. I'm still want to like learn the ropes to it. But anyway, going back to Spider-Man, it's been like 5 years now since that game. Like, with again the exception of Miles Morales coming out in 2020, but thankfully Marvel Spider-Man 2 has finally come out, and it's safe to say that this game is honestly amazing. I am mind blown by this game still. I played this game in a midnight release. There's full-on testimonies. There's full-on people who can back me up in this. I took pictures. I took screenshots of everything, the timer, when I started playing the game, everything, absolutely everything. And this game came out October 20th, which is like last Friday, I believe. I mean, during the time of this recording. And yeah, I did want to get this game a full week. I was intending to review it like on a Sunday, and when the game came out ish last week. But I said, nah, I want to play it a bit more, try to do side content and everything. I'm still doing the side content. I'm like 70%. No, I'm 90%. I have like 90 or 92% of the game progress already done, like 70% of trophies. I am aiming for that platinum. It's a traditional thing for me. I got the platinum in Marvel Spider-Man 1 and also the Miles Morales game, so I just have to get platinum for this game, and it doesn't seem to be very hard to get platinum. But anyway, coming back to this game, I want to take my time with it. For starters, the campaign is very short. It's only like 13 or 15 hours. However, it does not mean that the campaign is way too short or trash. It's actually the perfect amount for what the story goes for. I felt like I just didn't want this game to end. It just was like a fun Marvel type of experience, but with a great Spider-Man story being told. It's not like a Marvel blockbuster film that it's like a very kind of like a cookie cutter story. This story has some depth in it, honestly. I think the way they treated the symbiote in this game was honestly amazing, and the mere fact that there's these symbiote abilities so you could use throughout the game. It's not really spoilers, everybody knows this from the gameplay trailers and stuff. Later on in the game we get the symbiote. It's honestly everything I've wanted in like a symbiote type game or storyline. They really do reference a lot of the iconic comic moments from the Venom storyline and the symbiote storyline and the Kraven storyline, which is one of the main villains, antagonists in this game. They really just did such a great homage with all that stuff, and it just honestly just made me feel like a little kid again, because I've been following Spooderman. I gotta say Spooderman since I was a little kid. I've been an insanely like big Spider-Man fan. I did follow some of the comics. I did read some of the comics, I think, and I've been in touch with the arc, basically, the arcs, and just seeing how Insomniac just took all of these like comics that they probably read for inspiration, and instead of like probably like not going word by word and comic by comic at every comic of just crafting this one storyline and just being insanely faithful, it references that thing smartly and does its own storyline, which I thought was pretty brilliant coming into this game. Sorry for that. It was pretty brilliant coming into this game. It's like its own little storyline. It's not like it's completely relying on the comics. It makes remarks and it makes like references towards the comics, but it does its own thing. And I like how Insomniac does his own little twist to it, and it makes it accessible in order for like a game. I will say, however, that I wish there was some certain like boss fights that would be longer throughout this game. Again, I won't mention which boss fights or whatever. I do think that the intro boss fight was great. I think the intro boss fight was amazing, honestly. It's a great way to start the game. It just like takes you on into a moment. It just learns you the ropes and everything. I think people already know that the intro boss fight is, but I won't mention the name. It's honestly just a great starter to the entire game. Everybody knows this. There's always an intro boss fight in all these Spider-Man games. But yeah, I would say gameplay-wise, there hasn't been like an insane change in terms of how the game plays out. I mean, combat is still relatively the same from the first game. It's just that the exception of you can do extra combo moves with Miles Morales and Peter Parker. There's like these different types of finishers that you could do. The skill trees are a bit different. They also have a shared skill tree which actually does affect the swinging on both of these characters, how much they can swing, the boost they can get depending on which character you use at the moment. There also is the option to switch between characters. You can, with like your little like phone app thing, I don't know what it's called, you can switch from Peter to Miles to Peter, and it's like simultaneous in a way. There isn't loading screens actually in this game, which is absolutely insane to me. Like when you start into the game, when you just load into the save file, it takes like less than 5 seconds to get into it, which is again insane. And switching from character to character is the same thing. And even fast traveling in this game is like, I think the fast traveling in this game is the most mind-blowing fast traveling system I've ever seen in a video game ever. I mean, I've been playing video games forever, for all of my life, really. It's just that simultaneous transition where it's like, well, if you hold triangle for the fast travel, it's like whatever you want on the map. It just takes you there. There's no loading screens. It's like a little like animation where it's like a character, where's Miles or Peter just swinging there, and then you can just get into the game and start just doing whatever you want. And it's honestly insanely helpful for if you want to just get to an area much quicker instead of like swinging around. Or you're doing like the trophy hunting thing, which I'm doing actually, and it's a great time saver, honestly. Because I remember in the PS4 version for the first Spider-Man game, it was like a minute of like a loading screen that was very annoying, and I would just be ending up checking my phone or something, or a minute or two, I don't know, it depends. But honestly, I just like how it doesn't break the immersion. It just keeps you going on forever and ever. And that's the thing, though. Like, Spider-Man 2 is an insanely addictive game. I couldn't put it down. And since I did say that I was up for midnight release, I played it for a good 3 or 4 hours, to the point that it was like that was the only thing I was thinking about for that entire weekend, basically from Friday to Saturday, from Friday to Sunday. Basically, I was just like playing every single nook and cranny for that game. Like I don't think I think I barely took breaks playing that game. Honestly, I think I almost damaged my eyesight playing that game. Honestly, worth it. It's just, man, it's an amazing game. Honestly, I just love the web swing in this game feels improved, and I didn't think they could improve it, especially with how smooth the Miles Morales mechanics were with the web swinging, and how smooth in the first game the web swinging was as well. And I did realize that depending on the costume that you do wear, there is a slight difference in the flair in how the characters were to web swing, especially Miles and Peter. Just the way they like engage with these suits and everything, it really depends. Some suits have different like web shootings that's coming out, and it's a cool little detail, especially the black suit, which would be the black web, and then like the normal one would be like the white web, and there's like other types of web depending on the suits that you unlock, which is pretty cool. Honestly, I will say that it is a bummer that there is the lack of the unique super ability thing you could use depending on the suit, which I don't know why they took it out. Maybe because it kind of broke the game a bit in the first one. I mean, I remember the first game having like a unique ability for almost every single suit that you would have, but I thought it made it like special in a way, to the point that it's like, hey, like this suit has this thing that this suit doesn't have, and it makes it like unique in itself. Now in here, it's like you have a bunch of suits, you have variations of every suit, making it just an endless proportion of different like colors and things you can try out, so you don't get easily bored with suits. You can have like different suit combinations, and especially combining this different types of suit that you can have with Peter and Miles just makes the game much more entertaining, and I guess eye candy to look at. But yeah, that's a very cool feature, even though I do think that the lack of the unique superpower ability for the suits was kind of a bummer. But I do kind of get it. There is an insane amount of suits in this game, and it'll be a pain in the ass to just be doing it for every single suit. But yeah, I do think, however, that the gadgets in here, I did hear people saying that they removed gadgets in this game, which I don't know if that's true, because there are some gadgets here. It's just the gadgets aren't like that, I guess, insane or impressive. Maybe, I don't know. It's there to use. I do use them, but it's more like a spammy type thing that I use, and I don't really like focus on that much. I think skills that you could use with the symbiote Peter, or so the symbiote skill tree, or like the Miles Morales skill tree is much more entertaining, obviously, because there's like much cool variation and stuff you could do when attacking enemies. So again, I'm just like a bit indifferent in that, I guess. I will say, going back to the web swinging in this game, the addition of the web wings, or whatever it's called, is a great addition. It's a game changer, because you can just start like floating. You can start like levitating or floating from gliding from like one end of New York, and then over like a river or something to the other part of New York. And it's just so cool, especially some side missions that mainly focus on that type of thing, and some main storyline missions that are just more immersive when you're using that web winger thing. I don't know what's it called again, but yeah, the web glider. Is it called web glider? I don't know, but yeah, the glider thing was honestly a very cool addition to it. It kind of reminds me of like Legend of Zelda type thing, like Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild type glider. Well, actually, it's not the same thing. But what I'm trying to get at is that the glider mechanic is just cool in this game. It's just very cool, and it's very immersive, and it just accelerates so much of the addictiveness and the fun that you could get out of this game. Yeah, but going back to the story, I think how they handled the antagonist, which I think was Kraven, Venom is very obvious. Venom is just right off the bat there. Venom, Kraven, some other side villains as well thrown into mix, but Kraven is technically like the main villain as well as Venom in a way. I mean, the way they advertise the game is a bit like both, but I do like how they handle both those villains. It's very interesting. It doesn't feel like it's rushed in any sort of way. I thought it was very entertaining. I also did like the kind of descent into madness that Peter has throughout the game. It's obvious right from the get-go that Peter has a symbiote in him, and he turns obviously, I guess, more insane as the game progresses, which it's very accurate to the comic books and very faithful to the movies, especially Spider-Man 3, how he becomes more of an a-hole towards the people that he loves and he just becomes associated. But yeah, it has that thing going on, but it's in a way that's not corny. Because the thing with Spider-Man 3 that a lot of people critiqued about it was because of the portrayal of the symbiote and Venom, which is like a corny way how it came out. It just came out very corny or way too exaggerated, even though it did birth some of the most iconic moments in the Spider-Man universe, in the Spider-Man films as well. But in this game, it's much more serious. The Venom aspect of this game is much darker, and it does take more risks in storytelling to tell, I guess, a bit of a more mature story, which I do appreciate a lot. I guess comparing this to like the first game did have its fair share of like dark moments, quote unquote, especially with the Sinister Six. But I don't think it was like, and especially at the ending, as of course, Spider-Man 1. But I don't think it's like as dark as like the brutality that Kraven and Venom as characters bring to this game. It gets to the point that it's like probably Spider-Man's biggest challenge to date. You know, it gives that moment of intensity, that moment of like the moment of intensity, that moment of like the world revolving around the same type of thing. I just love how the story is told and how it portrays those villains and how it actually just makes Peter struggle to the point that, hey, he needs Miles' help too, and Miles needs Peter too. And I like how long these storylines, Miles does like sort of his own thing, and he kind of has his own like independent as a Spider-Man, proving himself as like, hey, like, you know, me and Peter, Miles and Peter, they, you know, like we have our own differences, and it's not like one of us is better than the other one. Right? It's like we both complement each other. It's not like a competition, right? You know, one can do things that the other one can't do, right? And it's vice versa as well. So I like that like little message going on, because throughout the game there's like this whole like thing of like who's the better Spider-Man, and a competition and jealousy and stuff like that. It has those themes thrown in there too. A lot of people are complaining about the MJ missions in the first game, and I'm glad to say that the MJ missions in Spider-Man 2 are honestly pretty solid. I like it. I don't love it, but I don't mind playing it again if I'm gonna do a second playthrough, which I probably will soon, probably after 100%ing this game. But yeah, honestly, MJ missions weren't that bad at all. You actually have a taser gun, and it is implied that during storyline thing that she actually had her fair share of training, which is kind of like a cool little background thing too. But yeah, it's more engaging. It's kind of like Resident Evil stealth type, if that makes any sense, even though there's not really that much stealth in Resident Evil, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but it's cool. I don't think it's like insanely boring as the first game, which is funny because I was literally playing an MJ mission in Spider-Man 1 before jumping into Spider-Man 2, because I was like in a specific part of the game where I had to do an MJ mission, and it was just like, I want to say painfully boring, but it was such like a huge stop in like the enjoyment of the game. You know, it's like, oh, an MJ mission, I gotta get over this, and then I can go back to being Spider-Man, and back to being Peter Parker. But in this game, it's more like I think the longest an MJ mission could go for is like 15 to 20 minutes, and then you're going back to being either Miles or Peter. You know, it's just that quick. And again, they're not even a chore to play through. They're actually kind of cool. You know, there's some levels in here that are just super like interactive, and it's not, again, boring or dreadful, or just like entirely stealth based, I guess you could say. In terms of like the voice acting in this game, because again, part of the essential stuff in video games is also voice acting, I think it's incredible. They really did nail the voice of Miles and Peter Parker. I know that Peter has been voice acted by Yuri Lowenthal, which he did do the voice for the first game, and it's incredible he's still kicking it around for this game. He wants to kick it around for another game too. And I do think, I'm sorry for not having the other actor's name. I know mostly Yuri, because Yuri has voice acted for other games, especially, you know, Persona 4, Persona 3 too, actually, you know, thinking about it, and a bunch of other games that I probably will remember if I were to see like an IMDb list of his credits. But yeah, you know, like he's been around basically. And it is cool that just to hear his voice again, and even still at his age, right? I think he does an incredible Spider-Man impression. And it's just great, you know. I mean, sure, there are the corny jokes thrown in there, But I think he embodies everything of what Spider-Man is. The serious moments, especially when he gets to the darker territory with the symbiote Spider-Man, and also the funny, light-hearted, joking moments that Spider-Man typically has with his dialogue and his charm towards characters as well. Again, just to sort of I guess close this up a bit because I feel like I'm just rambling a bit in the storyline. I think it was just written really well. For the most part, it was written pretty well. It explores some dark and very detailed messages, which I won't spoil. The gameplay is honestly just on par. It's a bit of an upgrade from the last two games, from Miles Morales and Spider-Man 1. It won't be super obvious. It won't seem like insanely convincing on paper, but when you play the game, you can feel the quality of life changes. In terms of exploring the world and stuff, I do feel that at times I'm exploring the same parts over and over. I mean, obviously it is New York, I'm not expecting an insane Grand Theft Auto type world map, but it felt like in the first game, even despite me swinging throughout the entire city, there were still some things to explore. And while this map is supposed to be technically bigger than the first game, I still feel like I'm ending up in the same places as before, and I don't really leave some areas for others. I don't know, it's kind of stupid, I guess, for me. But yeah, also, I want to talk about the side content. The side content in this game is pretty cool. I do feel that there were some missions in here which did allude from the characters in the first game, which I thought was cool, and it is giving that hint of a possible DLC for one of these characters or some of these characters, which, if that is the case, I hope there is DLC, because I paid almost $90 for the Joe Deluxe Edition, and I saw no mention of DLC. Hopefully that's cap, and hopefully they give me the DLC for free, please, I'm begging, because those extra suits, they weren't terrible, but they weren't the greatest at all. But yeah, anyway, going back to this, the side content was pretty cool. There's a lot of these side missions are just super well written, and they're their own little episodes for a Netflix show or something. If Spider-Man wants to get a Netflix show, any of these could be I don't want to say filler episodes, but it can be their own OVAs in a way. It's very detailed the way they go in the side content. There are some particular missions that I do feel just redundant and kind of boring to play through, or just some quote-unquote puzzles that are just stupid puzzles that anybody could get, and it's so brain dead. It's super easy to just do. And I know that Spider-Man isn't supposed to be the most complicated puzzles and stuff, and I do know that people complain about the puzzles being sort of a mood killer at times, but it's just to the point where it's don't even add the puzzles, it's the puzzles aren't really puzzles in a way. It's obvious solutions and obvious answers. But yeah, what else am I really missing? Oh, I guess a con that I would have for this game, aside some issues that I have with the world overall, I guess, is at least day one or the first few days in this game, there were some glitches, and I would say a handful of glitches, honestly. I did get the Cube Morales glitch, where it's where you would transform into a cube, like a little pixel cube, if you were to play as Miles Morales. For if you were switching a suit or something, it was just a random type of glitch. It wasn't game breaking and all. I thought it was kind of funny, but there was one where it's some characters disappear of cutscenes, which is kind of insane, and it happened to me in the final portion of the game, which was just funny and kind of distracting as well, because I didn't know what the hell was going on. And I also did have one glitch which almost did break a boss battle in a way, and I had to restart it from the last checkpoint. And I also did have a few crashes during the game, which is kind of slightly annoying. But when you realize you can boot up the game in less than 5 seconds and it'll take you straight where you need to go, it wasn't that bad, I guess. It wasn't I lost a save progress or anything like that. It was just slightly annoying. But yeah, that's the quote unquote biggest cons that I have of the game. Everything else is just either great or just perfect. It really is. It's a stellar game. I like the balance there is between Miles Morales and Peter Parker. They have their own skill trees. They have their own side content too, depending on the character you need to do. There's his own little storyline missions between each character, and I think the replay value in this game is high. I do see myself playing this game a couple of times. I mean couple. When I mean couple, I mean couple. I really want to re-experience the campaign again. It was insanely fun, and I just kind of grinded out the story in a day or two. It was just that addictive to me, and that's how much of a Spider-Man fan I am. But yeah, with all that being said, I usually give scores at the end. What am I feeling in this game? After like 20 something hours of playing this game, and I still haven't like 100% like 100% of this game, but I passed the campaign and did all the side stuff. I'm giving this thing a 9 to a 9.5 out of 10. This thing is honestly amazing. For me, right now, it's my personal game of the year. I can kind of say that confidently. I know there's games like Baldur's Gate 3 and others that are taking the world by storm. People are saying, no, this is the game of the year. This is the game of the year. This is a game that I personally enjoy more. It's just kind of what I wanted from a Spider-Man game. It's a fun experience. It's a great storyline. Honestly, it's very mature. And there's just a lot of replay value thrown in here. It's just a ton of fun. It's a game that I feel like I can boot up whenever I'm bored, and I'm instantly entertained. I'm addicted, and I can just play forever, honestly. But yeah, that's just how I feel about the game. Let me know how you feel about the game in the comments section or whatever, honestly. I would be excited to hear what you guys think about this game or any games in general, honestly. Like, what is your game of the year? Actually, what is your game of the year? I'm very interested. This year kind of has like a lot of games that are game of the year. As I mentioned, Baldur's Gate 3, which a lot of people do consider Baldur's Gate 3 the game of the year. And I did play some of it, and I did enjoy it. I'm not in love with it, but I do appreciate it a lot. There's Tears of the Kingdom, and there's a lot of other games. But yeah, let me know what's your game of the year. But anyway, that's all I have to share today. Hope you guys have an amazing day. And yeah, see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.